welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie and I am here today to start off a new reading vlog, and in this video we are going to be reading new releases. This first one that I had right here is from an author who I have one 5-star from and one DNF. That is Gillian McAllister. This is Famous Last Words. This was released in February 25th. This is a thriller. It is a pretty short book. My history with this author, I read her book Wrong Place, Wrong Time, and that book was a 5-star for me. I know that it's a Reese's Book Club pick. It's a really popular book and people like it. But as far as what I've seen on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, I don't see anyone really obsessed with Wrong Place, Wrong Time like I was. I absolutely love that book. It was a 5-star for me. It is, to this day, one of my favorite plot twists I've ever read in a book. It was amazing. And then she had a release last year called Just Another Missing Person. I want to say I DNF'd it, but it's honestly a stretch to say that because I only read about like 30 pages and I just wasn't into it, didn't grip me, and I just never picked it back up. And I don't actually own that book, so I've never gone to read it again. I am really interested to see how this one is. Obviously, I'm hoping that it is a Wrong Place, Wrong Time experience and that I absolutely love it. I want to go into this pretty blind. I have not heard a lot. Just this little blurb on the cover that says, "One morning he's your husband, by nightfall he's a criminal, and these are his famous last words." I don't know if we're going to be getting some type of manuscript, some type of mixed media format. I'm not even sure if this is going to be dual point of view or what. I just want to go in blind as I can because that's what I did for Wrong Place, Wrong Time, and that book just so worked for me. So I'm super excited to get started with this one. I will check in when I'm a good part of the way through and let you know how I'm feeling about it. All right, I am here 150 pages into Famous Last Words. I wanted to give an update. First of all, look at this bookmark that my wife got me for my birthday. I'm obsessed with it. Very brief description of the plot. You start following off this woman named Cam. She is a new mom. It's her daughter's first day of daycare, her first day back to work after having a baby. She's waiting for her husband to come so that she can go and take the kid to the daycare with him. He never shows. She's like worrying where he is. The cops end up in her office to tell her that he is involved in a hostage situation, and he's not a hostage. He is the one who took people hostage. She's shocked. She's completely confused. He's never done anything criminally related. It's completely out of character for him. We are following her from that point, and then we also get the point of view of the hostage negotiator. That's all that I'm gonna say about the plot, because with this type of book, you really just have to go in and see where the story takes you. I really do love Gillian McAllister's writing. She is a really talented writer, and I find that a lot of thrillers are written for the sake of just crazy plot twists or being really fast-paced, and the writing isn't always as high quality, but she is such a talented writer in my opinion. Her books don't just read like your typical popcorn thriller. The way that things are described, the setting, she does a really great job with that. I do think that the plot is moving moderately slowly. I mean, I'm enjoying reading it. I appreciate the dual point of view. The story's been interesting, very invested and curious to see where things go. Like I was saying in my last clip, the thing about Gillian McAllister's Wrong Place, Wrong Time is that the plot twist absolutely wowed me. Jaw on the ground, like one of the best plot twists I've ever read. So naturally, I think I am anticipating that, and I do have a guess, a prediction as far as I think something that is going to be connected. It's not necessarily what I think the whole twist will be. I really have no idea other than this one thing I'm pretty sure about, so I'll have to see if I predicted that accurately. I think that I was feeling kind of similarly when I read Wrong wrong place, wrong time until I got to that first plot twist, and then the book all kind of like made so much more sense to me, and the rest of the book was so good that it ended up being a 5 stars. This is, you know, somewhat of a similar premise of Wrong Place, Wrong Time, in the sense that that one was about a mom seeing her son murder somebody and it being like super out of character and she has no idea why he did it, and it's this kind of like whole unraveling. It's coming along. This is my progress right here. This book has a really interesting texture. It's very coarse. I don't know how to explain. It's just paper, but it feels like a canvas type of material. Anyway, that is all that I have to say for now. I am gonna get back to some reading and I will check in when I'm finished with this one. Hi everybody, welcome back. I am here to discuss Famous Last Words that I finished yesterday. 3 stars. Reluctant 3 stars. I have beef with this book and I don't even want to say what it is because it would give it away, and if you can go into this without immediately having an idea of what's going to happen, then I'm gonna spare you of that. I already said enough about the book. In the last clip, I said that I had made a guess as to something that I think was going to be a part of the plot twist. It was, and I also said that I was certain that there's no way that that would be the entire plot twist. It pretty much was. I mean, there was one other part to it that I was like, okay, maybe, but yeah, not surprised. I felt like I don't even want to say too much about it because, again, I don't want to give anything away, because if you can go into this and have a better experience than me, I want you to. So I'm not going to say a whole lot about the plot. Just for me personally, it didn't work. It didn't work. I didn't find any of the twists surprising. The plot was not interesting enough. I was not happy with that part of it. However, the 3 stars is because I think Miss Gillian McAllister is a fantastic writer. I love reading her writing. I think that she has a great flow and sentence structure. She's very descriptive, great at describing a setting, great at painting the picture of a character. I'm all for that, and that is hard to come by in a thriller. So I have to give credit where it's due. And I know that she is so capable of amazing plot twists and a super gripping plot, hence Wrong Place, Wrong Time. This one might not have worked for me, but I still think she's a really good writer. I still want to pick up more of her books. However, I do have some beef with this one, and the beef is with the predictability. We'll just leave it at that, the predictability, because again, if there's a chance that you can read this and enjoy it, I want to give it to you. So we're gonna go with a reluctant 3 star. If it wasn't as well written, it would definitely be getting a 2 or a 2.5. But on to the next new release. I picked up Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaghy, and this book is getting a ton of hype right now. I think I've had 6 of my friends already read and rate this on Goodreads. Every single one of them rated it 5 stars. Every single one of them rated it 5 stars. I was very excited to pick this up, and I decided to go in completely blind. I actually quite literally knew nothing about this except for what I do when I pick book of the month is I look at just those little graphics that they give. I'm just gonna insert it here, but it just says like 4 things about the plot. I think it's like, you know, family drama, non-linear timeline. It'll sometimes say like LGBTQ themes, whatever. I pick my book of the month books unless I've already heard of them and I kind of know what they're about based on that, so that I can go in pretty blind. I have read 40 pages of this so far and I'm really enjoying it. It is completely shrouded in mystery for me right now because I didn't read the synopsis. Starting the book, I felt a little bit confused, so I started to read the synopsis. I read a sentence or so and I was like, you know what? No, I want to go in blind. I love how mysterious this is feeling right now. I love that I have no idea what's going on. All I'll say is so far we are getting multiple points of view of a father and his children. We are on the setting of a very remote island. It's very stormy, very atmospheric. You're feeling all of those vibes. It really feels like this cover. She's doing a good job of making it feel like this cover. The writing is great. It is written in a almost more of like a storytelling way. In some of the point of views, the characters are speaking directly to you as a reader, which I do really like that when it's done well. I don't like getting inner thoughts of multiple different characters on each page. You're not getting that. You're still getting individual points of view, but it's told in that kind of like snapshot overview or characters talking directly to you sort of way, which I really like. Not much much to say other than that. I'm only 40 pages in. The chapters are super short. I read that first 40 pages in one quick sitting. So I'm going to continue on with this one. Hopefully it stays as good as I think that it is so far. I will check back in when I'm a little bit further in through that book. Hello everybody, I am back because I finished Wild Dark Shore. I'm settling on 4 stars for this book. So I ended up reading the synopsis after I finished. I wanted to see if reading the synopsis would have taken away from my experience with the book. Personally, I think that it's okay to go ahead and read the synopsis, and I'll give you a little bit more about the book now that I've finished it and I know what will or won't be a spoiler. So you are following this family. It's a father and 3 kids. They're on this island off of Antarctica. They're the only people currently still living there. You don't really know why they're there or why they're alone. And in the very first chapter, a woman washes up ashore to the island. She doesn't know the family or why the family's there. They don't know her or why she's there. The book is very much shrouded in mystery, and the writing is very lyrical and poetic. It is not straightforward. So it's a lot of not knowing exactly what's going on, why people are even there. And this island is a character in itself. The level of detail put in by this author, I feel like this author must have a background in botany. I looked up in the back of the book, I didn't see anything, but level of detail that she put with all of the plant species, the animals, the weather, just everything about this island was so atmospheric and so alive, and it really truly was the main character of this book. There was just so much focus on the setting and just the writing and the lyricism of it. I had a hard time figuring out what genre this was and what direction we were going. There was a lot of scientific information, especially in the beginning, that led me to believe that this was actually going in a science fiction direction. Then it felt like it was going in a mystery direction, and then I was like, okay, is this just like contemporary fiction? And I think that if I would have read the description, I would have been able to focus on not the right things, but the parts of the story that were actually going to develop into most of the plot. This didn't end up being a science fiction book, and I think that that's fine to say. In the middle, I was at a point where I didn't know where we were going, so I was waiting to see if it would take like a heavy science fiction turn or what we were gonna do. And there was this point in the middle where I did feel like the pacing was off. There were parts of the book that were very quick paced. The chapters were really short, except for one character that I did feel like dragged a little bit. That was one thing. There was one point of view that I disliked more than the others. I felt like the pacing was a little inconsistent. There were parts in the middle that dragged, but then parts that were really, really fast. But I ended up falling in love with these characters. And the main thing that I loved about this book was the character development, especially with one of the characters. My opinion of this character from the beginning of the book to the end of the book completely changed, drastically changed. There was nothing that could have made me see that coming, and having that experience with a book is just so cool to be able to see all of these characteristics of a person, think of them one way, and then learn their story and you see it completely differently. I absolutely love that. I feel like also the ending of this book was fantastic. It was sad, but I felt I liked the ending. I thought that it was well done, and I left feeling satisfied with the story story and like it was complete. It was different than my typical read. It was definitely more, like I said, heavily focused on the nature aspect of this island, but the character stories themselves were absolutely fantastic. This was a great book. Like I said, 4 stars. And now I am moving on to the last book in this video. Let me go grab it. The third new release that I'm picking up in this video is Scythe and Sparrow by Brynne Weaver. This is the 3rd book in the Ruinous love trilogy, the last book. I am so excited because Butcher and Blackbird was a 5-star read. I read it last year. It was one of my favorite books of the year. Easily in my top, I want to say like 5 to 10. I also read Leather and Lark. I liked it. I didn't love it. I gave it 4 stars. It was good, but it wasn't as amazing to me as Butcher and Blackbird. What I love about these books is the humor. The humor used in these books, it just works for me. It is my type of humor. I also love the characters. Essentially, it's considered a dark romance because it's serial killer. It's either 2 serial killers or a serial killer and somebody else. You're following these 3 brothers and these 3 girls that they're with. 2 of them are best friends. The topics themselves are obviously dark, a little gory, get some of that, but the relationships aren't dark. They are very like funny and sweet, and it's funny to see the juxtaposition of these 2 totally different moods in these books. Dark, gory, and then the romance itself is not dark. So this one is following Fionn and Rose, and Fionn is a doctor and Rose is a motorcycle performer at a circus. And I actually filmed this clip yesterday and I hadn't started the book yet. The clip ended up not working, so I have gotten 66 pages into this one. I'm really enjoying it so far. The setting of the circus is so fun. I feel totally in it. I can picture everything. I really like Rose as a character. She reads tarot cards too. Fionn is a doctor. They describe him as, she calls him Dr. Mick something. I don't remember, like in Grey's Anatomy. So I'm picturing him as Mark Sloan. They've met. We've, gotten some interaction. I don't want to give too much into the plot because I think it's just fun to go into these books from Butcher and Blackbird book 1 and just know that there's definitely dark and gory topics, but also a lot of really good humor and like cute relationship moments. I am going to continue on with this one. I got through the first 66 pages in just one sitting, so I think that this is going to be a quicker read for me for sure. So I will continue on and I will let you know my thoughts when I am a little bit more of the way through. Been a couple of days since I finished Scythe and Sparrow, and I'm landing on 3.5 stars for this one. For me, I do think that this was the weakest book in the trilogy as far as plot and characters. This is the only one of these 3 books that I found that there were times where I was a little bit bored, which is wild given the content of these books. Now, I will say I love Brynne Weaver's writing and I love her humor. The humor in this book was still there. I absolutely love that part of it. These characters, while I really did like both of them, they just felt more surface level than the other characters in the other books did, and I didn't have as much of a connection to them as I wanted to, and by the end I felt like it was kind of dragging. Like, this is the last book in one of my favorite series that I've ever read, and so I thought it would be an automatic 5-star. I just found that by the end I was ready for it to be over, which is so not the norm with these books for me. And I think that completely just depends on you as a reader. I recommend the series as a whole 1000%, especially the first book and the second book and then this one. I think that maybe if I read this series consecutively after they had all already come out and not as they were coming out, I might have been a little bit more into it because I would have been engrossed completely in the world. There was a lot of overlap with this book, and I think it was Leather and Lark, and a lot of it I didn't even remember. So I think that some of the connections that I might have made that would have had more of an impact if I was going into this book immediately after finishing Leather and Lark, I think that I would have caught on to more and maybe appreciated that more. 3.5 for me. I still recommend the series, like I said, but this just was my least favorite, I feel like, of all of them. Look at how perfect this stack of books goes together for this video. So that is it for my reading new releases. First book was Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. I gave this 3 stars. It was, to me, very weak in regards to the plot line, the plot twists, the mystery and thriller part of it all. But Gillian McAllister is such a great writer that I just have to appreciate that. So this one was 3 stars. Wild Dark Shore, I am not going to lie, over the last few days since finishing this book, I have thought about it a lot. The character development in this book, unreal. Unreal. I don't think there's been a bigger redemption arc with a character that I can think of in a standalone book that was done better than this one. This just was so good. It is extremely lyrical, atmospheric, and poetic, flowery writing. So just know that going in, know that the setting itself takes a huge role in the overall plot of the book. It's super, super descriptive, beautiful, but the characters in this, and the character development in this, so good, so good. Highly, highly recommend giving this one a shot. I won't go over this one because I just did, but Scythe and Sparrow, 3rd book in the Ruinous love trilogy. 3.5 stars for this one. That is everything that I have for this video reading. New-ish releases. Honestly, they're not the newest. I realize this is April. Some of these came out in like January, February, but 2025 releases. We're gonna say reading 2025 releases. That just makes it better. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you like book videos, and I will see you in my next one.